Let's say you were to open a brand new Italian restaurant downtown and you spent money on the tablecloths and the food and the employees and the office space, and then you said, "Oh no, I'm not going to spend money advertising. I'm not going to put out any signs. I'm not going to get in the newspaper or the yellow pages. I won't run any ads. You know what I'll do instead is I'll just keep my restaurant super duper secret, and I'll wait around and see if someone just by random luck stumbles into my restaurant. And if my restaurant then is just by luck a huge hit, then I'll buy the signs and then I'll run some advertising." And doesn't that sound kind of silly? Well, this happens all the time with authors. And authors are on Amazon, right? They have the digital book, they have the print book, but then when it comes time to create that audiobook, things get a little weird. And a lot of times I go on LinkedIn and I'll kind of cold approach, to use the term, authors, and I'll say, "Hey, my name's Robert Plank. My website is dfynarration.com, and I will narrate your audiobook for you." And in the same way that anyone can put out a book on Amazon, anyone, including you, can have your book on Audible. Now, you have to have the special equipment, the special software, put in the time, edit out the mistakes, run it through in a certain way that Audible accepts it, make the cover a certain way, and then you can get on Audible, which has 27 million monthly subscribers. Audible is an Amazon-owned company, and for the past probably like 15 years, Audible has not really been a book on tape or a book on CD. Instead, it lives on this site called audible.com, and you download and buy like the digital version, and then you can listen to it on your computer, or probably more likely on your phone or on your smart speaker. And because it's all in an app, you kind of have it all in this singular library, and you can listen to 30 minutes on your phone, 30 minutes on your tablet, 30 minutes on your smart speaker. It tracks and remembers where you left off. And this is just a way that many of the world's top earners and busiest people get an education. They say that if you listened to audiobooks on an average 20-minute commute for 3 years, you would gain the equivalent of a 2-year college degree. So, and they've also even done a study more recently where they compared, well, does listening to an audiobook make a difference versus reading? And the short answer is no. It's that if you are reading a book and you're super focused, and you're listening to an audiobook and you're super focused, then you retain the knowledge the same way. But you don't retain the knowledge if maybe you're listening to an audiobook while you're like doing the dishes or doing chores. In the same way that if you are like reading a book, but you're also kind of like, cooking at the same time, you'll only kind of halfway be present. But audiobooks are a great way. They call it the cheat code to life, to getting the information that you want and need. And there are monthly credits. So the average Audible consumer pays $15 per month. It's a monthly subscription. And you can buy an audiobook kind of one-off every now and then, but it costs more money versus just having the monthly subscription. Kind of like if you're aware of Kindle Unlimited, you can pay $10 a month and just like get a free or access to all these free ebooks. Now they're not free because you're paying the monthly fee, but if you weren't paying that monthly fee, you might be paying like $2, $4, $10. And so if you're a frequent reader, then Amazon Kindle Unlimited makes sense. And for all these frequent listeners, then Audible, the monthly version, makes sense because they accumulate these credits and they're looking for places to spend them. And what's really great about your book being on Audible is, number one, Audible has less competition. Search any keyword on Amazon. I don't care what it is. Weight loss, self-help, real estate, and search the same keyword on Audible. You will have a lot less competition. Now with Audible, you get a higher price point and a higher amount of commission. So if your Kindle book is only making you a few pennies or $1, then your Audible book might be making you $3, $4, $5. And whenever someone asks, well, how well does an audiobook sell? Well, how well does your Amazon book sell? If your book is not selling at all on Amazon, then it won't sell at all on Audible. You still have to promote it, right? Just having a book in its own right with I think there's like 2 million, 3 million books published yearly, even more with AI. So having a book on its own won't get you sales, but what will is you promoting it. And don't quote me on this. It's not data. It's an anecdote. It's a story. But my Audible check equals my Amazon check. And pretty much everyone I know, everyone when we share numbers, it's that same way. It's that the Audible audiobook makes less number of sales than the Kindle, but it makes a higher amount of money per sale, and it basically duplicates that Amazon royalty check. So if your Amazon royalty check is $200 a month, then I would guesstimate that your Audible check might also be $200 a month. And don't quote me on that. I'm not saying the literal words that you'll double your money or you'll double your monthly commission, but that's just what I've experienced and what everyone I know who is on Audible has experienced, that their Amazon paycheck equals their Audible paycheck. But like I said, publishers get really weird when it comes to audiobooks. I don't know if that they're not set up for it, or they just don't want to go there, or if the fact that like maybe if you're narrating or if I'm narrating, it's like someone else's name on it and they don't want to kind of go outside their organization. But unfortunately, you might have heard stories where publishers love to hide in the fine print and they love to have control over you, which is ridiculous because in this day and age, you can self-publish. You can put your own book on Amazon. And you might say, okay, but if I have a publisher, well, they do lots of editing and revising. Well, you can go on any freelancer marketplace. You can go on Fiverr or find an editor on LinkedIn and someone can edit it for you. Oh, but the publisher, they'll get me in bookstores. They'll get me into book signings. Well, will they? Well, they'll get me on speaking gigs. Well, will they? You can go and contact podcasts on your own and get speaking gigs that way. Oh, well, the publisher, they'll put my name and my book on a giant screen in Times Square in New York City. Well, you can look those up, and for like about $150, you can pay someone that has one of those giant screens, and for $150, they will show your picture and your name and your book for about like 15 seconds once per minute for an hour. And then you book your flight down to New York City and go to Times Square. And during that 1 hour window, you have a friend film you or take your picture when your book pops up and you say, hey, look, I'm on the billboard. And you can do that yourself for $150 plus the flight, etc. But you don't have to pay the publisher all those thousands of dollars to do it. And so many times publishers, sure, they'll take your money, and they'll have all these meetings with you and have you edit the book and tell you you should make all these changes, give you more work. And then they'll make you buy copies of your own book. And then you'll have a storage unit full of just like piles of your own book that you paid for. And then they say, hey, marketing your book, you're on your own. Go and get some speaking gigs. And I even had a friend where he put out a book and he signed a contract, and the publisher would not let him perform public appearances. So he wanted to speak to some organizations. He wanted to do a book signing, and the publisher said, no, the contract says you can't do that. So publishers are weird in that way. And many times recently, publishers have just flat out said no. Oh, well, we don't believe in Audible. We don't want part of that 27 million monthly subscribers. We don't think audiobooks are the future. Meanwhile, look at smartphones, look at smart speakers, look at in your car, you can play podcasts and play audiobooks. Like some of the newer cars, there's like an Audible app built right in. So it didn't really fly. It was kind of a weird, iffy excuse. And the new excuse that publishers use. You're going to love this one because they kept saying, oh, well, we flat out say no, or Audible, it's bad for whatever reason, even though they're the biggest Audible platform. The new excuse is, well, let's wait and see. We'll put out the book, and if it gets all these sales, if it gets you 20,000 sales, well, then it's paid for itself, and then we'll consider that a winner, and then we'll go in and pay for the audiobook. Or even better, how about you pay $8,000, $12,000 more to get the audiobook professionally done? And professionally done, you could narrate the audiobook if you want. My name's Robert Plank, and you can contact me, and I can walk you through how to record it. And then if you get the recordings to me, my website at dfynarration.com/upload, I will take your audios and I will produce it and put it on Audible for you, if, of course, the publisher says it's okay. If you're your own publisher, great, tell me it's okay. And I'm friendly with several publishers that they just give us a signed letter saying they relinquish the audiobook rights, and or they're just okay with you putting out an audiobook if you're the one to pay for it, if you pay me to speak it out, or if you provide the files. Or even something else that I want to float at you is part of the audiobook narration is I speak out the credits. Like if you've ever listened to an Audible, they say who the owner of the copyright is. And even when you go and buy it, there's a copyright year and company right there. So I never take anyone's copyright claim for their audiobook. My name is listed as the narrator name, but it's kind of like if Tom Cruise acted in your movie, if it wasn't spelled out, he doesn't own your movie. He's just like a hired hand. And I want to be the hired hand narrator for you. So we said that there's that page if you want me to upload your audiobook. And if you want to meet with me unlimited times where I walk you through the software, the hardware, the process, the recording, and then we can meet as often as you want to get it done. You can leave in all the mistakes. I'll edit them out. I'll get the book narrated by you. That's dfynarration.com/done-with-you. And if you want me to just narrate it, if you say, I'm kind of time poor and time starved, and I know that I keep putting it off, and another 6 months have passed, and if I'm not careful, then I'll be on to other things. So I just want the audiobook done by someone who's narrated 818 audibles, dfynarration.com. I'll just narrate the audiobook for you. You send the payment, you send me the manuscript, I read the first 15 minutes, you check the audio if it's okay, I narrate the rest, I send that to you if that's okay. You give me access to the Audible backend, you create an account in your name, I go and upload it, and in 2 weeks it's live and it's yours, and you collect the royalties and you keep the copyrights. And so the newest and latest and greatest excuse for publishers is, well, let's wait and see how well your book sells, and then we'll think about an audiobook if we feel like it. And if a publisher says this to you, just my personal opinion, they're not looking out for your best interest. They have a new clever way of telling you no. They put this crazy goalpost in front of you. They say you have to sell thousands of copies. They don't expect you to do it. They know that it's going to take lots of podcast appearances, lots of reach, lots of sweat equity, right? Lots of running ads, and they just want to take your money and move on. They don't want to go to all that trouble of the audiobook narration. And it's not all publishers, right? Some publishers see the value of you being on other platforms. And imagine if you just, it just drives me crazy if an author is not on Amazon, right? Someone says, hey, I've written a book. Okay, great. Where can I get it? Well, you can go to my website and it's in a PDF format. You can go to this special webpage and then you can download it. Is that really a book though? Because I can't order that on Amazon. I can't even get it shipped to me in the mail. It's just something that's on your website. Well, you see, Amazon takes a commission. Amazon takes a percentage. So I don't want to give Jeff Bezos those precious pennies. Yeah, but you're getting a big pie chart of nothing, right? It's like you don't want to give Jeff Bezos a percentage of your sales, but you know that Jeff Bezos will give you some sales, and this is a platform where people are looking, And if you can send your own traffic even a little bit consistently, and you can get some sales, some reviews, and rise in the rankings, then more Amazon users will see it. And other Amazon users that are looking to, buy some books, they'll buy it. And other Audible users that are looking to listen to your audiobook, they'll buy it as well. And so it's like, yes, you have to pay the tax man, so to speak. You have to pay Amazon, but it's a huge marketplace. And so let's just think about that for a moment. If your publisher says, well, we have to wait for the audit, we have to wait and see how sales are doing. Okay, does that mean if sales are bad, we'll put out the Audible to bump the sales up? Or if the sales are good, the book's a winner, so of course we'll do an Audible, but then the book is 6 months old, a year old. Wouldn't you want to go out the gate with guns blazing and do everything you can to make some audiobook sales? And just me personally, if I see a book, any book on Amazon, and what you do is you go and you look at your book on Amazon, and there's little buttons, right? There's the Kindle version, the paperback version. Hardcover I don't really care about because I know it's going to be like $30, $40, big hunkin' thing, and I won't have space for that. But if I see that the book is paperback only and no Kindle, I'm like, I don't have the attention span to wait a week for that to arrive in the mail. I want to read it right now. And if I see that maybe there's a Kindle and a paperback, but there's no audiobook, I'm like, well, I don't know if I'll have the time commitment to get the book and, have to have it on my phone, or, what if I'm driving? If I can get an Audible version, rather just download it and listen to it in the car or on a walk. I've got things to do. I want to read your book, but it can be the best book in the world. Doesn't matter how good it is. If there's no Audible version and I just don't have the time right now to listen, I won't buy it. So think about how many buyers you're missing out on by not being on Audible. And if you have these excuses, just be aware that excuses are contagious. So it might have been that one publisher somewhere said, here's our excuse why we can't do Audible. We have to wait and see how the sales do. Maybe they're Native American. They're from the wait and see tribe. And then another publisher said, hey, that's a good excuse. We'll steal that. So that way we can't just say no. And next thing you know, it's being passed around like a common practice, like it's something that you should do. It's like, do you know on a TV show, when a family member dies on the fictitious TV show, the family members gather to go to the reading of the will. And the reading of the will, it's not a thing. It's just something invented for TV because it's dramatic and all the characters come to the lawyer's office and they read the will. But you know what happened? Enough people watched enough TV shows, and this silly plot point of the reading of the will kept happening so often that in real life, people were like, wait a second, but Granny Edith died, and we need to go to the lawyer's office together as a family and listen to the reading of the will. And it happened enough times that the attorneys started saying, enough people are asking for the reading of the will. Let's just give them what they want. And you know what happened? This thing it wasn't even real, the reading of the will, because it was a fictional plot line in all these family drama TV shows. It began happening in real life, and it's not even real, but it became real. So similarly, this weird excuse that we have to wait and see how the book is selling. It's like having an Italian restaurant and not paying for any advertising, not telling anyone about it, not putting out a sign and saying, let's wait and see if our Italian restaurant succeeds. And if it does, then we'll go and lift a finger and put forth the effort. Gosh darn it, this is America. And if you're in America, you say, we choose to go to the moon in this decade because it's hard, not because it's easy, because it's an audacious goal. America is about audacious goals. Say you're over here where you are at your starting point and you want to get way up here at your finishing point. And it takes two factors. It takes the belief that you'll get there, but it also takes the action to get there. And you need both ingredients. And If you just say, well, I hope to randomly luck into it, you won't get to your goal by accident. You can end up in a million different directions. If you say, I'll launch a spaceship towards the moon, there's the moon, I pointed at it. By the time you get to the moon has moved. So it requires some amount of like faith, calculation, and future planning. And when it comes to you and your book publishing, well, you have to say, I choose to do everything in my power to ensure that someone can find my book, can buy my book, and that I'll set myself up for the maximum chances of success, which means don't wait. Don't wait for your book to sell before you put it on Amazon. Don't only put your book on Amazon as a paperback only and wait for it to sell before you then have the Kindle version. Don't just put it on the Kindle version and wait for it to sell before you put out the Audible version. Just do it. Just have the book launch. And when it comes to having your book on Audible in audiobook format, if you can't do it, if you won't do it, I'm your guy. Contact me, dfynarration.com. The links are in the description. And I can get it done for you. I've narrated 818 books. I like it. It's just one of those things I like to do. And I am excited to narrate your book. I used to narrate cookbooks. I used to narrate workbooks. But I mostly do about 90% businessy, self-help, leadership, nonfiction, that kind of thing. Contact me. And I'd love to either get your book manuscript emailed to me in PDF or Word document form, or I can read off the Kindle version, but I speak out the words, I've got the equipment, I've got the software, and I know the process, and I'd love to put you on Audible if that's a thing that your publisher allows, and that your self-limiting beliefs, or ideally the lack of self-limiting beliefs, allow. Don't wait. The time will never be just right. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the second best time is now. The best time for you to put out that audiobook was 2 months ago, but the best time is right now. So let's chat, let's talk, let's get your book on Audible. I'm Robert Plank, dfynarration.com. Let's chat soon.